In this video, we'll be creating this cute Totoro from start to finish. After a quick introduction to Grease Pencil, I will guide you through my approach for drawing, animating, coloring, and rendering this little project. I have designed this tutorial for beginners with subtitles and AI-generated voiceover for better clarity. I hope you enjoy this lesson and don't forget to like and subscribe. Cheers!
When launching Blender, a splash screen will appear. For this course, I'm going to use the 4.5 LTS version. Let's create a 2D animation project. First, the shortcuts. Go to Edit, then Preferences. On Key Map, tick the box tab for Pie menu and close it. Navigating in the viewport is easy. If you scroll out, you should see some kind of canvas. You can draw by left-click on it. Hold middle-click to get inside the 3D space. This is how our 2D scene looks like. You have the grease pencil object and the camera. Both can be found in the outliner. Press numpad 0 to go back in camera view. To prevent you from accidentally get into the 3D space, press in to open the side menu. On the View tab, under View Lock, tick Rotation. Then press in again to close. Now the middle click won't let you go in the 3D view. Blender works with different modes. Currently in Draw mode, I mainly use 4 of them: Object mode, Edit mode, Draw mode, and Sculpt mode. This is why I configured the Tab key earlier, to quickly switch between modes. Let's go in Object mode. Press Shift+A to add Image Reference. Locate the Leonard reference video in the working folder and load it. Press S to scale. Then in the image settings, reduce the opacity to 0.5. This is a simple setup for drawing on a reference. Watch closely to my cursor. Left-click and drag a little downward on the separation. A console should pop. Since the reference is an 8-frame animation, I enter 8 in the end box. Now play it. This pace came from the actual movie. To make it a little pleasant to watch, let's turn down the frame rate on 12 FPS. Go in the outliner, select the grease pencil object. Then press Tab to switch to Draw. This is the timeline. It includes 2 layers, lines, and fills. Adjust the view to match the frame range. Use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Hold the middle click to pan and reposition the view as needed. You can delete each layer with minus and create a new one with plus. Name it as you prefer. Mine is head. Adding a new layer creates automatically an empty keyframe on the playhead location. With this layer selected, time to draw Totoro. For this lesson, I'll be using a mouse, so no worries if you don't have a tablet. Right here, left-click and hold, then drag to select the circle. Next, go to the asset shelf below and select the pen brush. Scroll to zoom and middle-click to adjust your position in the scene. But first, just make sure you've selected the solid stroke material, with a brush radius set to 0.004. Left-click and hold to draw a circle, release to place it, then middle-click to confirm. Press Tab to switch to Edit mode. Use the Select Box tool to select the circle. Press Tab again to switch to Sculpt mode. Set the Select mode to Stroke. Select the grab brush, then use it to shape the circle. Press F, then slide your mouse and left-click to adjust the brush size. I recommend sculpting with a large brush and adjusting your zoom accordingly. Hold Shift to temporarily switch the brush to smooth, which helps remove bumps. Simply alternate between both techniques to trace the head, just like I'm doing. Next, I'll repeat the same steps for the eye, iris, and nose. Be careful, pressing S to scale a stroke will also affect its thickness. To avoid this, go to Stroke and disable Scale Thickness. Duplicating strokes is a great way to speed up your workflow. Select the eye, then press Shift+D to duplicate. Press S to scale and G to place it. For the ears, I'll switch from the circle to the arc tool. Nothing tricky, just stick to the reference. Be sure to slightly extend these strokes through the head. It'll help for later. When you're done, move the playhead to frame 3. In Edit mode, press A to select all the strokes. Then press G to move and try to align them with the eye reference below. Thanks to onion skinning, switching between frame 1 and frame 3 reveals both the previous and next drawings. To keep things simple, we'll turn it off for now. Still in Edit mode, select both ears. Press R to rotate, then G to move them accurately. Move the playhead to frame 5 and repeat the same steps. Do the same with the playhead on frame 7. Now, select the first keyframe, duplicate it with Shift+D and drag it to frame 9. Let's create some in-betweens using the Interpolate tool. Place the playhead somewhere between two keyframes. Select the Interpolate tool, then quickly left-click to deselect any strokes, or press Alt+A. Then, in the viewport, hold left-click and drag slowly to interpolate. Make sure the eye lines up with the reference on the same vertical axis. Note, this generates an in-between. Repeat the interpolation process for frames 4, 6, and 8. Once the in-between's created, go back to each one and align them properly. And finally select the last keyframe, press X and delete. Back in Draw mode to clean up the strokes using the Trim tool. Just click and pass over the lines you want to delete. Do the same for each drawing. Yay! So far, we've completed the head. Next up, the body. Create a new layer and turn off the onion skinning. For safety, be sure to lock the head layer. Just like with the head, use the circle tool to shape the main body and tail. We'll be using interpolation again, so go ahead and build keyframes on frames 3, 5, and 7. Remember to duplicate the first keyframe and place it on frame 9. Then interpolate as we did before. Make sure to align the body with the reference. And delete the duplicated keyframe at the end. To complete the body, we'll create one more layer for the front fur pattern. Pay close attention and use the circle tool to trace the main shape. One helpful tip: rely on consistent visual markers to guide you. Next, we'll build those two small triangle shapes. The easiest way is by sculpting a circle. After that, simply duplicate it to make the second. Then use the Erase tool to cut out one side of the main shape. Moving on to prepare the keyframes for interpolation. This part is mostly about adjusting, moving, and sculpting the strokes. Just stay focused on the reference and keep your visual markers consistent. As usual, duplicate the first keyframe to frame 9 and interpolate between frames. Here, I use interpolation to get a rough alignment, then reposition manually. Don't forget to remove the last keyframe once interpolation is complete. Next, hide the head layer to focus on the body. With the fur layer selected, open the layer options and choose Merge Down. This will merge the fur layer into the body layer. Then continue with the Trim tool to clean up any excess strokes. By the way, be sure the layer isn't locked. If the Trim tool bugs out, use the Erase tool to cut through the strokes, then trim again. Once that's done, unhide the head layer. Then hide the reference from the outliner. Select the body, open the options, and merge down. Let's clean up the lines. Be sure to follow along. Start with the trim tool and leave the leftovers for the end. Switch to Edit mode. Use Shift plus left click to select multiple strokes, then hit X to delete. It starts to look interesting. Next up, the legs. First, add a new layer for it. Once again, we'll use the circle tool to draw the legs frame by frame. Relying on the reference makes things so much easier. After completing the legs, merge it down with the body layer. It's time for another round of cleanup with the trim and erase tools. Watch me carefully. Ctrl plus Z is your friend if you messed up. It's getting better. Alright, let's hide everything for now and add a new layer for the arm. You know the drill. I'm starting with the circle tool. Here I'll start using the draw tool, set to pen brush with 0.0 for radius. Drawing with a mouse might feel a bit tough at first, but just hold down Shift as you draw. This turns on stabilized stroke, which helps you stay more in control. No worries if it's not perfect. You can always refine your strokes in sculpt mode. Same process for the claws and the rest. Don't hesitate to clean up a bit to keep things clear. As we've been doing so far, I'm going to prepare the keyframes for interpolation. Just reposition each drawing on frames 3, 5, and 7 and duplicate frame 1 to frame 9. Interpolate the in-betweens, align them first, then adjust the placement. Remember to delete the duplicated keyframe at the end. Nice work! We're almost done. Let's wrap things up with the claws. Be sure to organize your layers, with the arm layer placed at the very top. To save time, we'll use the circle to draw a claw, sculpt and duplicate it as needed. Drawing frame by frame is likely the easiest approach. This method lets you easily reuse elements from the previous frame. Because the auto-keying makes things easier. Every time you move or edit something, a keyframe is created automatically. But if it gets too confusing, no problem. Just stick to draw each claw manually. It will work fine. Once you're finished, go ahead and merge that layer down with the body layer. Just clean things up with the trim tool and we're done. Looks like I made a small mistake with the claws on frame 3. There are several ways to fix it. You can either redraw the claw, or just copy and paste from similar drawing. As a final touch, let's add one last layer for the ground line and make sure it's placed at the very bottom. With the line tool, hold Shift to make a straight stroke, then trace the ground. Congrats! The hardest part is done. It's coloring time. I know it might be scary for some, but don't worry, I'll make it easy. Always double check that you're painting on the right layer. It can save you a lot of trouble. First, we'll color the body. Select the body layer, then open the Options menu and click on Duplicate Empty Keyframes. To stay organized, I'm calling that one body fill. And I drag it right under the body line art. For the coloring phase, the fill tool is your best friend. Here, you'll need to use the solid fill material, which is designed for filling shapes. Currently, this material will only fill with gray. That means for every color you see on the character, you will have to create a corresponding material. To avoid that, we'll just use one solid fill material on his simplified mode called Color Attribute, a sampling method that allows you to quickly pick any color on the fly. Let's open a new panel. Just click and drag from any corner. You'll see your mouse change into a crosshair icon. Just click, then slide your mouse to create a duplicate panel. Click the little icon in the corner, and from the drop-down, select Image Editor. Under the Image menu, open your working folder and select the image color reference. Navigation works exactly the same as in the 3D viewport. Go back to the color attribute, place your cursor over the green color, and press E. Once your cursor becomes an eyedropper, click on the color you want from the reference. But first, we need to adjust a few settings. In Render Properties, scroll down to Color Management and set the look to medium contrast. Now in Object Properties, under Visibility, just untick the Use Lights. Basically, this tweak will make your colors pop and ensure you can pick them precisely from the viewport. Before diving into coloring, just make sure you're in the right spot. Correct layer, correct frame, and your fill tool is on solid fill. Most of the time, I'm fine with a precision of 4. But if the fill tool acts up, I'll switch to 6 for better results. Keep in mind, higher precision uses more system resources and could cause crash. Adjust it to match your PC's performance. In the advanced settings, turn on visual aids. They'll help you extend your strokes properly and prevent any open areas. You can do this in just 2 clicks. Click once to enable stroke extension, then use the scroll wheel to fine-tune it. With the second click, the color gets applied. Then all you have to do is apply the method. Pick the color and fill the drawing step by step. You can pretty much do all the coloring frame by frame. But listen up, coloring can be a bit tricky depending on how close you apply the color. If you're too close, you might get an error, so make sure to zoom out enough to avoid that. Extending lines too far can sometimes lead to gaps or holes, so use it cautiously. And honestly, if you end up with tiny gaps like these, don't stress about it. To save a bit of time, we'll take advantage of a tool known as multi-frame editing. First, make sure you're on the body fill layer with the playhead on frame 2. Normally, right above it, you should have your body layer. Like I'm doing, select the keyframes on frames 2 and 3 of the body fill and body layers. Then enable the multi-frame editing by clicking at this top right icon. On screen, you should see the drawings from frames 2 and 3 simultaneously. The multi-frame technique works best when the drawings overlap as much as possible. So if I color my Totoro blue again, both the current frame and the next frame will be filled with blue. You can verify it by switching off multi-frame mode. Apply the same steps for the lighter color. Sample the color by pressing E, then fill the frames using multi-fill. I recommend using multi-frame editing for the first pass to do a rough fill, then finishing up manually. Just a quick note about zooming while filling. If you're too zoomed in, you might get errors, so make sure to set your zoom level properly. Remember, the accuracy of your fill relies heavily on the precision value. At 4, certain corners may be ignored, but increasing it to 6 usually fixes that. From here, feel free to pick the approach that works best for you. If you're using multi-frame editing, always select the keyframes first. Check that the drawings align closely to ensure a clean fill. Any fill mistakes can be fixed by grabbing the colored area and adjusting it with sculpting. Let's move on to coloring the arm bag. First, make sure to hide all the body layers. Show the arm layer by selecting it and duplicate it into empty keyframes. Name your layers for clarity and arrange them so the drawing layer sits on top of the fill layer. From this point, it's up to you to choose your approach. My own workflow is a mix of multi-fill and frame by frame. Once you're done, lock all the layers except the arm back drawing layer. Next, take the erase tool and gently trim the shoulder area to create a smooth connection between arm and body. And if everything went well, you should have something like this. Let's create a subtle shadow on the ground to give our character a more realistic presence. Add a new layer and place it at the very bottom, just above the ground layer. I've called mine shadow. Be sure your playhead is positioned at frame 1. Still with the solid fill material and circle tool, I'm going to draw a black circle below the character. In edit mode, I'm making a slight scale adjustment. Then I move to frame 2 for another adjustment. And I continue this process up to frame 4. My goal is to make the shadow cycle smoothly through the first 4 keyframes. Once finished, I select my keyframes and duplicate them by pressing Shift+D. And drag them until the first one is positioned at frame 5. Amazing! What a huge improvement! We could stop here, but if you want to take it a step further, I'll show you how to add some cell shading. Let's hide the arm layers and focus on the body. We'll apply the cell shading directly on the body fill layer. With the fill tool, I'm going to show you a special method. When you hold Alt plus left click, the fill tool enters in fill guides mode, allowing you to sketch temporary lines to guide your fills. The lines may feel a bit unsteady at first, but switching to sculpt is a great way to fix things up. I even discovered that by holding Alt plus Shift plus left click, you can draw fill guides with the help of the stabilized stroke. Select all your fill guides, then Ctrl+C to copy. By moving my playhead to frame 2, I'll simply paste my previous fill guides with Ctrl+V. Copy and paste can be a real time saver in certain situations, so keep it in mind. The goal is to work frame by frame, drawing and adjusting the fill guides as precisely as you can. During this step, Sculpt Mode was my go-to tool to perfect the guides. It's totally fine to invest plenty of time here, so feel free to take the time you need. With that finished, we can now start adding the shading. Here's a preview of frame 1 that I've already completed. Now, it's time to finish the rest. Before you start, be sure to hide the shadow layer to avoid any filling conflicts. After picking your shading color, you can go ahead and start filling. Simply apply the correct shading color to each area. Next, we'll remove the fill guides. In Draw mode, open the Draw menu, go to Cleanup, and choose Remove Fill Guides. At this left corner, a small menu will appear, giving you mode options. Select all frames to remove every fill guide at once. However, I want to report a bug that I noticed. When selecting Remove Fill Guides, you might encounter a display glitch like this. To fix this, just switch the mode back and forth until the bug disappears. We'll finish up with the cell shading of the bag. Same approach as earlier. First, draw all the fill guides. Second, hide the entire body to simplify the shading process. And third, clean up all the fill guides. Finally, after all this hard work, it's time to sit back and watch. If you've made it this far, huge congratulations! I'll end this lesson by showing you how to stretch this loop animation over time. Just hop over the Modifiers panel, press Add, and search for TimeOffset. The setup is simple. Check the Custom Range option. Then enter your animation loop values. Start 1 and end 8. Now just head to the timeline and stretch your animation by raising the end frame value. From now, the animation will loop indefinitely beyond the last keyframe. My little trick for a perfect loop is to set the value to 8 times the number of loops. Here, I'm choosing 12 loops, which gives me an end frame of 96. And that's it. For rendering, open the Output properties. At the beginning, we changed the frame rate to 12, but you can always switch back to 24 if you want. Naturally, I'll let you choose the output folder for your animation. To export as a video file, select if FMPEG video in the file format options. Next to encoding, click the small icon and select the preset H.264 for an MP4 with a single click. When you're ready, head up to Render then Render Animation. And boom, you're finally done!